Let me ask you something that might surprise you. When you think about foods that are damaging your kidneys, the foods that physicians warn older adults about most seriously, what comes to mind? Processed meats, probably. Salty packaged foods. Sugary drinks. Perhaps fried food or fast food. All reasonable answers and all genuinely relevant. But I'd be willing to bet that fruit didn't make your list. Because fruit is healthy. Fruit is natural. Fruit is the food we've been encouraged to eat our entire lives. 5 a day, a rainbow of colors, the foundation of good nutrition. And for most people, most of the time, that's entirely true. But here is the part of the story that is almost never told. The part that physicians know and that doesn't make it into general health messaging nearly often enough. For adults over 60, and especially for those with declining kidney function, certain fruits that are perfectly safe for a younger, fully functioning kidney can be genuinely dangerous. Not occasionally, not theoretically, biochemically, measurably, and in some cases, acutely dangerous. The reason has nothing to do with fruit being bad. It has everything to do with what happens to aging kidneys when they can no longer efficiently process certain compounds that these fruits contain in high concentrations. Compounds that a healthy kidney clears without difficulty, but that accumulate in a struggling one, with consequences that range from discomfort to cardiac arrhythmia to acute kidney injury. I'm Dr. Naira Stein, your senior's health and wellness consultant. Today's conversation is one I consider genuinely important because the information I'm about to share is not commonly known outside clinical settings, and because acting on it could make a real and measurable difference to your kidney health. I will also give you something equally valuable at the end, a clear list of kidney-safe fruits that you can eat with confidence, fruits that actively support kidney health rather than threatening it. Because this is not about removing fruit from your life, it is about choosing the right fruits for your kidneys at this stage of life. Let's begin with understanding why this matters, and then we'll get into the specifics. Why fruit and kidneys have a more complex relationship after 60. To understand why certain fruits become problematic as kidney function declines, you need to understand one of the kidney's most critical and least discussed jobs: the regulation of blood chemistry. The kidneys are not just waste filters, they are precision regulators of the body's internal chemical environment. Every mineral that enters your body through food, potassium, phosphorus, sodium, calcium, oxalate, uric acid, must ultimately be excreted, retained, or balanced by the kidneys to maintain the narrow chemical parameters your cells require to function. Too much potassium in the blood causes the heart to beat irregularly. Too much oxalate leads to crystal formation in the kidneys and urinary tract. Too much uric acid damages tubular kidney cells. Too much phosphorus calcifies blood vessels and accelerates kidney deterioration. A young kidney with full filtration capacity manages these mineral loads with remarkable efficiency. The system has significant reserve, more than enough to handle the dietary variability of a normal day's eating, including a couple of bananas or a glass of orange juice, without any measurable disturbance in blood chemistry. But a kidney operating at 50, 60, or 70% of its original capacity, which describes the kidneys of many adults over 65, often without a formal chronic kidney disease diagnosis, does not have that same reserve. When this reduced capacity kidney encounters a high potassium fruit, blood potassium may not normalize quickly. When it encounters a high oxalate food, the crystal clearing mechanism is slower. When it faces a heavy fructose load, the uric acid produced accumulates for longer before being cleared. The problem is not the fruit. The problem is the mismatch between what the fruit delivers and what the kidney can currently handle. And in older adults with reduced kidney reserve, this mismatch can shift from theoretical to clinically significant very quickly and very quietly. Let's be precise about what reduced kidney reserve means in practice, because this concept is at the heart of everything that follows. After the age of 40, the kidneys lose approximately 1% of filtration capacity per year. This is a natural, age-related process, not disease, not the result of poor lifestyle choices, simply the biology of aging organ tissue. By 65, most adults have lost between 20 and 30% of peak kidney function. By 75, that loss may reach 35 to 40%. For the vast majority of the time, this reduced capacity is entirely adequate for normal life. Standard blood tests, creatinine, eGFR, may look normal or near normal because the remaining nephrons compensate by increasing their individual workload. People feel well. There are no symptoms. There is no reason to suspect anything is wrong. But this compensated state has limits. And one of the places those limits show up most concretely is in the handling of dietary mineral loads, particularly potassium. A kidney at 70% capacity handles a moderate potassium meal perfectly well, but a kidney at 70% capacity, given a very high potassium meal, may allow potassium to rise to levels that affect cardiac electrical activity before equilibrium is restored. The margin that was comfortable becomes precarious. Add to this the increasingly common presence of conditions that further reduce kidney mineral clearing capacity in older adults: type 2 diabetes, chronic hypertension, use of ACE inhibitors or ARBs, use of potassium-sparing diuretics, and the dietary decisions that were once entirely inconsequential become genuinely important. The 3 compounds that matter most. The fruits we are about to discuss are problematic for one or more of 3 specific reasons. Understanding these compounds makes the why behind each fruit clear and makes the guidance easier to remember and apply. The first is potassium. Potassium is an essential mineral. The body requires it for nerve and muscle function, fluid balance, and critically, normal cardiac rhythm. But blood potassium must be maintained within a very narrow range. When it rises above approximately 5.5 millimoles per liter, a condition called hyperkalemia, it begins to interfere with the electrical signals that regulate the heartbeat. Mild hyperkalemia can cause muscle weakness and fatigue. Severe hyperkalemia can cause dangerous cardiac arrhythmias and, in extreme cases, cardiac arrest. The kidneys are the primary mechanism for maintaining potassium within safe levels. As kidney function declines, so does the reliability of this safety system. The second is oxalate. Oxalic acid is a naturally occurring compound found in many plant foods. In the digestive tract, oxalate binds with calcium to form calcium oxalate, a compound that is normally excreted in the urine without difficulty. But when oxalate intake is high and kidney function is reduced, calcium oxalate can precipitate out of solution and form crystals, the primary component of the most common type of kidney stone. Beyond stone formation, high urinary oxalate concentrations cause direct damage to the cells lining the renal tubules, contributing to inflammation and progressive nephron loss in people with existing kidney disease. The third is fructose and its metabolic product, uric acid. Fructose, found in high concentrations in certain fruits, is metabolized primarily in the liver, and one of the byproducts of this metabolism is uric acid. In people with adequate kidney function, uric acid is efficiently filtered and excreted. In those with reduced function, it accumulates. Elevated blood uric acid, hyperuricemia, is not simply the cause of gout. It is independently associated with kidney tubular damage, reduced GFR, and accelerated progression of chronic kidney disease. Research now positions uric acid as both a marker and an active mediator of kidney injury. With this framework in place, let's look at the 4 fruits. 4 fruits that aging kidneys cannot safely handle. I want to be clear about the framing before we begin. These are not toxic fruits. They are not dangerous for people with healthy, fully functioning kidneys. They are fruits that are specifically problematic for adults over 60 with reduced kidney reserve or existing kidney disease. And they are problematic because of specific, well-understood biochemical mechanisms, not because of generalized unhealthiness. For each fruit, I will tell you exactly what it contains that makes it concerning, precisely why that compound creates risk in aging kidneys, and what the practical guidance is for managing that risk. Fruit to avoid. 01. Star fruit, carambola. Of all 4 fruits we will discuss today, star fruit demands the most immediate and unequivocal response. If you have any degree of kidney impairment, any at all, star fruit should not be consumed. Not in smaller quantities, not occasionally, not in juice form, not at all. This is not a caution that can be calibrated with portion size. It is an absolute contraindication. And the reason is one of the most serious and least widely known dietary risks facing older adults with kidney disease. Star fruit, also known as carambola, contains a neurotoxin called caramboxin. In individuals with fully functioning kidneys, this compound is rapidly filtered out of the blood and excreted in the urine before it can accumulate to harmful concentrations. The kidney's efficiency is the only thing standing between normal consumption of star fruit and neurotoxicity. In individuals with reduced kidney function, including the mild to moderate reduction that affects many adults over 60 without a formal diagnosis, caramboxin is not cleared efficiently. It accumulates in the blood, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and causes neurological symptoms that range from hiccups and confusion to seizures, altered consciousness, and in severe cases, coma and death. The presentation is often dramatic, sudden onset hiccuping that cannot be stopped, followed by confusion and deteriorating consciousness. Perhaps the most alarming dimension of this risk is that many of the affected patients did not know they had kidney disease. Their kidney function had declined to the point of impaired caramboxin clearance without ever producing symptoms significant enough to prompt testing. For these individuals, star fruit was the first indication that something was wrong with their kidneys, and by that point, the indication was a medical emergency. Star fruit is commonly available in Asian grocery stores, health food stores, and increasingly in mainstream supermarkets. It is marketed for its nutritional content, vitamin C, fiber, antioxidants, and its distinctive appearance makes it an attractive addition to fruit platters, desserts, and drinks. None of this nutritional value is relevant if the kidney cannot safely process the caramboxin it contains. Star fruit is contraindicated for anyone with impaired kidney function, regardless of the degree of impairment, regardless of the quantity consumed. If you have any doubt about your current kidney function, treat star fruit as off-limits until you have had a recent EGFR test and your physician has specifically confirmed it is safe for you. If you have consumed star fruit and you experience persistent hiccuping, confusion, altered mental status, or any neurological symptoms within the following hours, seek emergency medical care immediately and inform the treating physician that you have consumed star fruit. This information directly changes the clinical management. Fruit to avoid. Avocado, the healthy food that becomes dangerous in the wrong kidney. This is the entry on this list that most people push back on most strongly, and I understand why. Avocado has become one of the most widely celebrated health foods of the past decade. It appears on every list of heart-healthy fats. It is recommended by cardiologists, nutritionists, and wellness advocates across the board. Its monounsaturated fat content genuinely is beneficial for cardiovascular health. Its fiber, folate, and vitamin K content are genuinely valuable. But here is the specific fact that those recommendations almost never include. avocado is one of the highest potassium foods available in the everyday diet. A single medium avocado contains approximately 700 to 975 milligrams of potassium, more than twice the potassium content of a medium banana, which is itself a fruit that physicians routinely caution kidney patients about. A full avocado can deliver nearly a quarter to a third of the total daily potassium allowance recommended for adults with moderate chronic kidney disease in a single serving. For an adult over 60 with reduced kidney function, particularly one who is also taking medications that affect potassium levels, such as ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or potassium-sparing diuretics, this potassium load is not easily managed. The kidney's ability to excrete potassium is directly proportional to its filtration capacity. A kidney at 65% function, handling 975 milligrams of potassium from a single avocado, alongside whatever other dietary potassium was consumed that day, may allow serum potassium to climb toward levels that produce cardiac effects before the kidneys can restore equilibrium. The nuance, and this is important, is that not every adult over 60 needs to avoid avocado entirely. For those with well-preserved kidney function and normal blood potassium levels who are not on potassium-affecting medications, modest avocado consumption may be acceptable. The risk is specifically elevated in those with eGFR below 60, those with a documented tendency toward elevated potassium, those on the medications mentioned above, and those with diabetes or advanced cardiovascular disease. But because many adults over 60 do not have a recently measured eGFR and are not aware of their precise kidney function, the prudent approach, until that information is available, is to treat avocado as a food requiring caution rather than unlimited consumption, and to discuss specifically with your physician or renal dietitian whether and how much is safe given your individual situation. The typical daily potassium limit for adults with moderate chronic kidney disease, eGFR 30 to 59, is 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams. A single medium avocado can contain up to 975 milligrams. Consuming this alongside other potassium-containing foods could easily push intake well above a safe daily total. Track your potassium sources if your kidney function is reduced. Safer alternatives for healthy fats. Extra virgin olive oil, macadamia nuts, and small portions of walnuts provide beneficial monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats with a fraction of the potassium load of avocado, making them kidney-safer choices for the same nutritional goal. Fruit to avoid: oranges, orange juice, and high-volume citrus. The most widely consumed high-potassium fruit in the world. Oranges and orange juice are so deeply embedded in the daily health habits of older adults that recommending caution around them feels almost counterintuitive. They are synonymous with vitamin C, with immune health, with the morning routine of a health-conscious person, and their vitamin C content is genuine and significant. But oranges are also one of the most potassium-dense commonly consumed fruits, and orange juice concentrates that potassium further. A single medium orange contains approximately 230 to 270 milligrams of potassium. A 250 milliliter glass of commercial orange juice, a standard serving, contains roughly 450 to 500 milligrams of potassium, sometimes more. 2 glasses of orange juice, which many older adults drink regularly without a second thought, delivers close to 1,000 milligrams of potassium from that source alone. The juice form is particularly concerning for 2 reasons beyond the volume. First, the absence of fiber in juice means that the potassium, and the fructose, is absorbed far more rapidly than it would be from whole fruit. the blood potassium rise following juice consumption is faster and higher than from the equivalent quantity of whole fruit. For a kidney that is already slow to restore equilibrium after a potassium load, this speed of absorption matters significantly. Second, the fructose concentration in commercial orange juice is substantial. As we discussed earlier, fructose metabolism generates uric acid. 2 glasses of orange juice per day, over weeks and months, represents a meaningful, ongoing uric acid burden for kidneys that are already struggling to clear it, contributing to the tubular damage and inflammatory changes associated with hyperuricemia. Whole oranges in small quantities, 1 per day, represent a more moderate potassium load than juice and retain the fiber that slows absorption. For adults with mild kidney concerns and otherwise controlled potassium levels, 1 small orange daily may be acceptable. For those with eGFR below 60, elevated baseline potassium, or medications affecting potassium, even this should be discussed with a physician or renal dietitian before being assumed safe. The broader category of high-volume citrus juice, grapefruit juice in particular, carries an additional, entirely separate risk that affects kidney patients specifically. Grapefruit compounds inhibit cytochrome P4503A4, the liver enzyme responsible for metabolizing a significant number of common medications, including some blood pressure drugs, cholesterol medications, and immunosuppressants. For kidney patients on complex medication regimens, grapefruit and grapefruit juice can cause unexpectedly elevated drug levels with potentially serious consequences, an interaction that is well documented and consistently underappreciated. Orange juice specifically. Orange juice is not a health-neutral beverage for adults with reduced kidney function. Its combination of high, rapidly absorbed potassium and significant fructose content makes it one of the most consistently overlooked kidney stressors in the diets of older adults. Consider eliminating it entirely and replacing with low potassium alternatives. Grapefruit. Warning: if you take any prescription medications, check with your pharmacist whether grapefruit or grapefruit juice interacts with your specific drugs before consuming either. This interaction is independent of kidney function and can apply to anyone on affected medications. Fruit to avoid. 04. Dried fruits, bananas, and very high fructose fruits. When concentration and high glycemic load combine into a perfect storm. The final category on this list is broader than the previous 3 because it encompasses a principle rather than a single fruit, the principle of concentration and glycemic load, and how both become specifically threatening to aging kidneys. Let's begin with dried fruits because they represent the most concentrated potassium source in the fruit category by a considerable margin. When fresh fruit is dried, its water content, which accounts for the majority of its weight and volume, is removed. What remains is a dramatically concentrated form of everything the original fruit contained: sugar, potassium, oxalate, and other minerals. A small box of raisins contains more potassium than 2 medium bananas. A handful of dried apricots, perhaps 30 to 40 grams, can contain 500 to 800 milligrams of potassium. Dried figs, dried dates, and dried prunes are similarly concentrated. Many older adults consume dried fruits as a healthy snack, a small handful throughout the afternoon, perhaps added to oatmeal or yogurt, perhaps combined in a trail mix. This pattern, repeated daily, delivers a potassium load that a compromised kidney struggles to manage and that quietly pushes serum potassium upward with each passing day of continued consumption. The glycemic dimension is equally important. Dried fruits have some of the highest glycemic indices of any food. Their concentrated sugars are rapidly absorbed, producing sharp blood glucose spikes that drive the glycation of glomerular capillaries, increase oxidative stress in kidney tissue, and generate uric acid through fructose metabolism. For older adults with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, dried fruit consumption is one of the most commonly overlooked sources of post-meal blood sugar elevation, often not identified because it feels like healthy snacking rather than sugar consumption. Bananas occupy a specific place in this discussion because they are one of the most universally recommended healthy snacks for older adults, often specifically recommended for potassium supplementation by well-meaning general health advice. A medium banana contains approximately 420 to 450 milligrams of potassium, a moderate load, not catastrophic in isolation, but significant when added to other dietary potassium sources across a day. For adults with eGFR below 45 or with baseline elevated potassium, even one banana per day may be inadvisable. For those with eGFR below 30, bananas are typically explicitly restricted. Other high fructose fruits, mangoes, grapes in large quantities, lychees, jackfruit, carry a combined burden of significant fructose and therefore uric acid generation, high potassium, and high glycemic impact that makes them poorly suited to the dietary profile of an older adult with reduced kidney reserve. These are fruits that deliver genuine nutritional value in the context of a healthy young kidney. In the context of an aging kidney with reduced filtration capacity, that same nutritional profile becomes a chemical burden. The potassium content of fruit escalates dramatically when dried or juiced. A fresh apricot contains approximately 90 milligrams of potassium. 2 dried apricots, roughly the same mass as 1 fresh apricot, contain approximately 300 milligrams. Dried and juiced fruit forms are rarely safe for adults with kidney concerns, even when the fresh version might be tolerable in moderation. Specific dried fruits to eliminate: raisins, sultanas, dried apricots, dried figs, prunes, dates, and dried cranberries sweetened with added sugar should be removed from the diet of any adult with eGFR below 60 or elevated baseline potassium. Their potassium and glycemic impact is disproportionately high relative to their volume. Section 4. What to eat instead. Kidney-safe fruits that actually protect your kidneys. I want to be absolutely clear. This conversation has not been about eliminating fruit from your life. Fruit is nutritionally valuable, genuinely enjoyable, and for most people most of the time, an important part of a healthy diet. What we have been discussing is a specific subset of fruits that carry particular risks for aging kidneys. And now I want to give you an equally specific set of alternatives that are not merely safe, but actively beneficial. The following fruits are low in potassium, low in oxalate, carry a modest glycemic load, and in many cases contain specific compounds that the research has shown to actively support kidney health. These are the fruits you can eat with confidence, with pleasure, and with the knowledge that you are supporting your kidneys rather than stressing them. Kidney-safe alternatives. Blueberries, the kidney's best friend in the fruit aisle. Blueberries are arguably the single most kidney-friendly fruit available, and we discussed their protective mechanisms in detail in a previous episode. They are low in potassium, approximately 57 milligrams per half cup, low in oxalate, low in phosphorus, and carry a modest glycemic load. Their anthocyanin content reduces glomerular inflammation, inhibits the fibrotic process that destroys nephrons, and improves the function of the blood vessels that supply the kidney's filtering structures. Half a cup to 1 cup daily, fresh or frozen, is not only safe for most adults with kidney concerns, it is genuinely therapeutic. Kidney-safe alternatives. Red grapes, resveratrol and antioxidant protection with a low mineral load. A half-cup serving of red grapes contains approximately 144 milligrams of potassium, modest and manageable for most adults with mild to moderate kidney disease. Their resveratrol and anthocyanin content reduces oxidative stress in kidney tissue, improves endothelial function in glomerular capillaries, and exerts anti-inflammatory effects at the cellular level. Whole red grapes in small portions, a half cup as a snack, deliver protective polyphenols without a potassium burden that compromises kidney safety. Kidney-safe alternatives. Apples, fiber, quercetin, and steady blood sugar in a low potassium package. A medium apple contains approximately 195 milligrams of potassium, lower than a banana, lower than an orange, and delivered alongside significant fiber that slows its absorption and reduces its glycemic impact. Apples are rich in quercetin, a polyphenol, with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties relevant to kidney protection. They support gut health through their pectin fiber content, and emerging research suggests that gut microbiome health is meaningfully connected to kidney disease progression. Apples, consumed whole with their skin, are among the most universally kidney-safe fruits available. Kidney-safe alternatives. Cranberries, urinary tract protection and anti-inflammatory polyphenols. Cranberries are exceptionally low in potassium, approximately 47 milligrams per half cup, making them one of the safest fruits for adults with even moderately advanced kidney disease. Their pro-anthocyanidin content prevents bacterial adhesion in the elective urinary tract, reducing the frequency of urinary tract infections that cause direct inflammatory damage to kidney tissue over time. They also contribute to blood pressure management through anti-inflammatory and vascular effects documented in multiple clinical trials. Unsweetened whole cranberries or unsweetened cranberry juice diluted with water are the kidney-safe forms. Commercial sweetened cranberry juice carries a sugar load that negates much of its benefit. Kidney-safe alternatives. Strawberries, vitamin C and anthocyanins, with one of the lowest potassium loads. A cup of fresh strawberries contains approximately 254 milligrams of potassium, lower than most other berry varieties and considerably lower than the high potassium fruits we discussed. Strawberries are rich in vitamin C, which supports vascular health and the integrity of kidney blood vessel walls, and in anthocyanins that reduce oxidative stress in renal tissue. Their fiber content supports glycemic control, and they are among the lower sugar fresh fruits available, making them appropriate for adults managing blood sugar alongside kidney concerns. Fresh or frozen, strawberries are a reliably kidney-safe choice for daily consumption. Kidney-safe alternatives. Pineapple, a high-potassium fruit's low-potassium alternative for tropical craving. Pineapple is perhaps the most surprising inclusion on a kidney-safe list. It has a reputation as a high-sugar tropical fruit. But at approximately 180 milligrams of potassium per cup, it is considerably lower in potassium than oranges, bananas, or avocado, and its bromelain content, a proteolytic enzyme with well-documented anti-inflammatory properties, provides genuine biological value for reducing systemic inflammation relevant to kidney disease. In moderate portions, half a cup as a component of a meal rather than a standalone large serving, fresh pineapple is a safe and nutritionally interesting option for adults with mild to moderate kidney concerns. For kidney-safe fruit choices, prioritize berries, blueberries, strawberries, cranberries, raspberries, small apples, small pears, and small fresh grape portions. Limit portions of even safe fruits to half a cup to 1 cup per serving to keep potassium loads manageable. Always read specific potassium content rather than assuming a fruit is safe based on general health reputation alone. Know your numbers before adjusting your diet. The guidance in this video is calibrated for adults over 60 with reduced kidney reserve or existing kidney disease. But the degree to which each recommendation applies to you individually depends significantly on your current kidney function, your eGFR, your serum potassium level, and your urine protein. An adult with an eGFR above 90 and normal potassium who happens to be over 60 has significantly more dietary latitude than an adult with an eGFR of 45 and a potassium level of 5.0 on their most recent blood test. The same fruit that requires strict avoidance for the latter may be entirely acceptable in moderation for the former. This is why the first practical step is to know your numbers. If you do not have a recent eGFR result within the last 6 to 12 months, request one. If you have not had your serum potassium or urine protein recently checked, ask your physician to include them. These three values, eGFR, serum potassium, and urine albumin to creatinine ratio, are the foundation on which individualized dietary guidance for kidney health is built. Even kidney-safe fruits carry potassium, and potassium accumulates across a day of eating. The principle that experienced renal dietitians apply is not to identify safe versus unsafe foods as fixed categories, but to understand the potassium content of every food and to stay within the daily total appropriate for your kidney function. For adults with eGFR above 60 and normal potassium, the daily potassium target is generally not restricted beyond normal healthy eating guidelines, approximately 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams. For those with eGFR between 30 and 60, many nephrologists recommend a daily limit of 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams. For those with eGFR below 30, potassium restriction becomes more aggressive and requires specific dietitian guidance. Within these targets, a variety of kidney-safe fruits in appropriate portions can be enjoyed daily. The goal is a plate that is colorful, nutritionally rich, and satisfying, built around foods that support kidney health rather than compromising it. Working with a renal dietitian. The most valuable professional resource for older adults navigating kidney-safe eating is a renal dietitian, a specialist in the nutritional management of kidney disease whose expertise encompasses the specific and often counterintuitive dietary requirements of chronic kidney disease at every stage. A renal dietitian can review your specific lab values, your medication list, your current diet, and your food preferences, and provide a personalized eating plan that is both kidney protective and genuinely livable. Many adults with early kidney disease have never been referred to a renal dietitian. If you have elevated creatinine or reduced eGFR and have not seen one, ask your physician for a referral. This is one of the most high-value healthcare conversations available to you at this stage. This week, remove starfruit entirely. Reduce or eliminate avocado if your kidney function is uncertain or reduced. Replace orange juice with a glass of water with lemon or diluted unsweetened cranberry juice, and swap dried fruit snacks for a small portion of fresh blueberries or strawberries. These 4 changes, sustained consistently, meaningfully reduce the mineral and chemical burden on aging kidneys. I want to close with something that I think puts this entire conversation in the right perspective. Fruit is not the enemy of kidney health, not even close. The kidney-safe fruit list we walked through today, blueberries, cranberries, red grapes, apples, strawberries, pineapple, is genuinely diverse, genuinely delicious, and genuinely therapeutic. A diet built around these fruits provides antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, fiber, vitamins, and flavor that any reasonable person would be happy to eat every day. What changes after 60, particularly when kidney function is reduced, is the need for precision. The broad, general recommendation to eat more fruit made for a population with young and fully functioning kidneys, needs to be filtered through the specific reality of what your kidneys can currently handle. And that filtration process is not difficult once you have the information. It requires knowing your numbers, understanding 3 specific compounds, potassium, oxalate, and fructose, and making a handful of substitutions that your kidneys will register as profoundly meaningful, even if your taste buds barely notice the difference.
Star fruit. Eliminate it.
Avocado. Discuss it with your physician before continuing. Oranges and orange juice. Reduce significantly, particularly the juice. Dried fruits, bananas, and high fructose concentrated fruits. Be thoughtful, know your potassium budget, and keep portions small. And in their place, blueberries, strawberries, cranberries, red grapes, and apples. Every day, with confidence, with pleasure, and with the understanding that these choices are not just safe, they are actively working in your kidneys' favor. Your fruit bowl has always been part of your health story. With the right knowledge, it can now become part of your kidney protection strategy too. I'm Dr. Naira Stein, and I hope this conversation has given you something precise, practical, and genuinely useful to carry forward. Your kidneys are worth every deliberate choice you make for them.